the sixth area that we wanted to discuss was around supporting LGBT plus people as an ally. And are you able to just sort of explain what that means a bit more, please, Teddi?
Yeah. So an ally is somebody that supports, sort of what I touched on before, supports and comes alongside LGBT people in a variety of ways. I think also being, you know, I think one of the biggest things an ally can do is have a safe space for somebody. We don't want superheroes. We do not need a superhero. We can speak for ourselves. But I think also as well, just to sort of, if that person is having an argument with somebody, or if that person is they're not agreeing on something, just showing your support for the LGBT person, or if that LGBT person doesn't feel like they can talk, speaking out, that's really important. I mean, I've seen so many videos now of you know, people basically getting rowdy, getting drunk, taking the piss out of an LGBT plus person, and other members of the public stepping in. And that to me is amazing. And that's obviously something you can do, obviously. But it can also sometimes, if you're jumping in before they've spoken, it can sometimes be seen a bit, it just sometimes goes down the wrong sort of road, if you know what I mean. So I would always say, have a safe space. Speak up if you can, or if they want you to, just support them. Go and support, like, you know, LGBT plus films, music, you know, agendas. Buy from the right, you know, if you're gonna fly the flag, buy the flag from an LGBT LGBT plus vendor that is giving the money to a charity. I think it's called the prideshop.com or something like that. That's where I get all of my pride flags from. They're not as cheap as Amazon. That is true. However, Amazon isn't giving money into LGBT charities. And I know that gives to, I think it's called Little Mermaids, which is a trans kids charity helping trans children transition. So buy from reputable sources, back what you can back, and also as well, if you're in a conversation that doesn't involve an LGBT plus person and it's a negative conversation, just stand up for it. Just turn around and say, look, that's not acceptable. Because at the end of the day, silence, you are allowing it to continue. Yeah. And I know recently, with a lot of the killings of people of color in America, a lot of people are saying, actually, that's not, being silent or not speaking on it isn't helpful. And that is also true in LGBT plus, for the LGBT plus community as well. Yeah. Because if you're allowing those conversations to happen and not having anybody to come back from, they think that it's okay to then have that conversation with other people. So I'd always say that you've just got to be, the word is ally. You've just got to stand up for people, and just be there, and you know, try and support if you can. And if you can't support, see if you can do something for someone, or you know, or that. There's many ways. It's not rocket science. It's quite simple. But even just sending them, even if there is something. So, like for instance, Peterborough's not having a Pride this year, but we are doing something. Peterborough Pride aren't doing something online, but an artist is doing something for a Pride on their own. But just going and supporting that, or donating £10 to an LGBT charity, you know, that kind of stuff is all helpful. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to shout it from the rooftops that you've given 10 quid to the Trevor Project, or, you know, whatever other charity there is. You don't have to say it from the rooftops, but, you know, you can just go and support people in that way. And just try, because again, we are incredibly supportive people. And you never know, going to an LGBT night somewhere might be the best night of your life. You've got no clue.
You don't know. This is true. Don't knock it till you tried it, right? Exactly. That's what they always say. Okay, fine. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think I picked up on what you said there about supporting trans children having operations. So that's something that might cause a little bit of conflict in what people listening. Can you just explain a little bit more about that?
Like I knew at 7 years old that I was gay, you know if you're born in the wrong body. And so, not that I completely 100% agree with giving children hormone blockers at a really young age, but they know. I mean, you have kids, they'll probably know what they want to be. And you know, and for some people, they'll want to go down a road for a certain amount of time and they won't want to do it. There's quite a famous drag queen who's been a drag queen for 25 years. They now no longer want to be a drag queen. And that just changes throughout life. I think you've just got to support your child no matter what they want to do.
Yeah.
Unless they want to start, you know, selling drugs, killing people. I mean, that's when you've got to step in.
Yeah, no, of course.
But I don't agree with. Yeah, well, and that's the thing, and also as well, like I don't think people understand the importance of a supportive family. I look at myself and I look at my some of my closest friends. Some of my closest friends who have quite deep mental health issues, not as in like they want to kill themselves or anything like that, but have very bad anxiety, very insecure, have come from either a broken home or families where they weren't supportive.
Yeah.
And I have found that across the board. Like every single friend, I could probably tell you of all my friends who came from a very supportive and stable family and who didn't.
Yeah.
Because it rubs off later in life. So I think, you know, if your child comes to you and wants to explore their gender identity, just let them go and explore it. It's nothing major. And if they put on a dress and they like it for one day, I also harken back to an Eddie Izzard quote. He was on an interview once and they said, "Oh, you like to wear a lot of female dresses a lot." And he said, "Well, no, I just like to wear a dress. It's not a female dress, it's a dress. You don't tell your colleague, oh, you're wearing male trousers."
Cool.
It's interesting how those items are blended and some aren't. So I think the best thing to do is just support them. I always think that also as well, what you put out into the universe is what you get back. So if you're speaking hate, you're going to get hate put back on you. Just try and be positive. And if they fully transition and become who they want to be, then that's fantastic. And if they decide to change their mind later on, that's absolutely fine. And if they want to sort of transition back again, that's absolutely fine. I think gender is something that is still something to be learned, and you learn it throughout your entire life. You know, I mean, when I was 7, I wanted to be Baby Spice. That's all I wanted to be. And she now has influenced how I look now as Teddi as well. But I mean, did I think 5 years ago I was going to become a drag queen? No, it only happened recently. And then doing it professionally as well. Did I think last year at this time I was going to do it professionally? Hell no. But you know, you've just got to keep opening doors that destiny gives you. But you know, the worst thing to do, I think, as well, if you're a parent, is try and shut it down.
Yeah.
Because if you try and shut it down, and it's something that isn't going to harm someone, all you're going to do is make that child feel as though they can't come to you about anything. And if it then becomes a certain situation that then is quite serious, that they then can't come to you about, you then can't help them further down the road.
Yeah, no.
So I would
totally
just say, I would just say, you've just got to be open. You might not necessarily get it. You might not necessarily understand it at that time, in that moment. Give yourself time as well, I think, as a parent to, just understand that as well. And also as well, like if your child wants to transition, I think they also need to understand that you have to mourn the person that they were and the ideas that you had in your head for that, because everybody makes plans. So like, I know that my mum and dad would have thought that I would have got married to a woman and all that kind of stuff and had kids and everything else. That hasn't been my journey, and they have had to adapt to that. And I think that has to happen in every instance, because, if I do wish to then transition to become a woman, that's another road that they probably didn't think of. So I think you have to give leniency on both sides. And like I said before, it might be hard. You might have some really tough conversations, but I'm always one more for having a tough conversation than having an easy one, because at least then both sides are aired. Yeah, and there
absolutely.
might be a few items where, you trip up and, there might be a few times where you trip up and you don't use the right vocabulary or all that kind of thing. That's fine. The best thing to do is just apologize. Yeah. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm really sorry. I know that affects you. I am really sorry. And if they then don't accept that, that then talks on them more than just on you.
I was going to say, yes.
But that's what I would say. You've got to let it happen.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of a paradox there, isn't there, about intolerant people demanding tolerance of others as well. We've got it comes from both sides. We've got everyone's got to be tolerant, haven't they? Apologies for getting up just then. My dog was looking at me like I need to get out. I think she was gonna.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate your time. Please do follow me at Pete Rushmer on LinkedIn, or on Facebook, follow Flagship Training UK, and you can find us on YouTube too at Flagship UK.